Mr. Connolly, we are now live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to HealthierLife.tv. My name's Paul Bursey. And
I'm Warren Connolly.
Yes, my co-presenter. And fantastic. So, yeah, let me read my little bit, because I like to get my little bit out. Trouble is, there's so much happening with Facebook. I'm going to have to turn it off.
That sounds very dodgy.
Go away. There's people keep sort of flashing up. Anyway, HealthierLife.tv wants to inspire people of all ages to live a life of complete health through education and information. We cover all aspects of health, wellness, sports and fitness. Now, we haven't done sports and fitness for about 6 weeks, actually, but we will be going back to it at some stage. So, how's your day gone, young Warren?
It's been a very busy day, young man. It has been a busy day, and it's because of something that I want to talk about today as well. It's been busier than it needed to be. That's because I've been experiencing lack of sleep lately.
Now that is very important.
Yeah.
Because today's call is, why is a lack of sleep bad for your health? Or in fact, bad for my health, but bad for your health and everyone else's. So why? Well, there are many effects of a lack of sleep, and grumpiness is one of them. Being touchy, being irritable, and that's before you get to any health bits.
Yeah, that's just the good stuff.
Yeah, that's just the moany old whiny stuff. So, but we're basically not functioning as normal or as usual when we have a lack of sleep. So now let's deal with you first, young Warren. What have you had challenges with recently?
I've been attending a course. So as a result of attending this course, it's been run out of Hawaii. And they start at 4 o'clock local time, and it's a 4-hour course. Each day it's 4 hours long.
Well, you're a dedicated young man.
So starting at 10 o'clock in the morning and then finishing any time thereafter. So yeah, it's been heavy. And then I'm up at 6:30 in the morning again to get the daughter ready for school, and then take her to school. So yeah, it's taken a lot of dedication thus far. Tonight is the last night. That's the irony of it. Tonight's the last night, and then I get to rest.
Oh, right. Okay, that's not too bad then. So, did you know that sleep deprivation can have a tremendously bad effect on your health?
I did know that. I do know that. I'm experiencing that right now.
Yeah. So, obviously, when you have a one-off, as long as you're sleeping reasonably well, then you can actually shake that off quite easily. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can. I mean, I'm the type of person that sleeps very well. When I sleep, and I can sleep anywhere. So give me 1 night or 2 nights of good regular sleep, and I'm okay. I'm done.
Did you also know that between 1 in 3 people have sleep problems? That's huge.
Yeah, actually, that's something that I have come across before. That figure, 1 in 3 people. Yeah, it's something that I'm aware of.
Yeah,
it's bad. Actually, it's not just huge. It's really bad because if you think about when we go into the effects of lack of sleep and all of that, and if 1 in 3 people are experiencing lack of sleep, it's bad. It's bad for the economies around the world. It's bad for a lot of things.
It's bad for your chi.
For your chi. We're not talking about tea.
No, chi. Yeah. No, it's bad. It's bad all round. I mean, being around grumpy people is enough. Some people are grumpy and have plenty of sleep. I know. So, the grumpy old gits club. Anyway, so What do they really blame it on? What do most people blame it on? I would say probably stress and anxiety.
What, blame the lack of sleep on stress and anxiety?
Yeah. Of worrying, have doubts, fears, worries, things like that.
Yeah, I guess, and this is the caveat, isn't it? Because this lack of sleep will lead to stress and anxiety in the same breath. So
yeah. So it's like this vicious circle. The old catch-22, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but
and this is why I try to teach people, the importance of keeping your stress levels low, keeping your anxiety levels low, and how to deal with that. So when people are interested in listening to me, then I teach them about the benefits of reducing stress and anxiety and how to do it. So because then you don't have those issues with sleep that, as you're talking about, so many people do.
Well, on Wednesday, what was our subject on Wednesday? How to kickstart your morning.
Yes.
Yeah.
To dominate your day.
And dominate your day. And part of that was about, and that was on successcafe.tv. And part of that is about, obviously, sleep, but it's about habits and routines. Mm-hmm. So we basically self-sabotage ourselves on most occasions. Now, there is obviously the health side that maybe you don't have any control over, but generally speaking, it's our bad habits that contribute to a crappy night's sleep. There's no way around it. I mean,
and this is something that we've been covering in this course that I'm doing right now, is disconnecting an hour before bed.
Yeah, that's huge.
Completely.
I've got to say that I don't. I'm aware of it, and if it became a problem, I would. But actually, I can go straight to sleep. So my biggest challenge is family members phoning me up at 2:00 in the morning.
So this is where I put my phone on flight mode.
Absolutely. From now on, it will be on flight mode. Yeah. Because I'm doing everything. I'm doing everything right for me, but I'm allowing other people to dictate when I wake up, and that's not good. Now,
and you're not alone in this, Paul, because this is something that I've seen. This is a habit.
Yes,
it's all it is. It's just a habit that I've seen so many other people going through in their lives. Especially clients that have worked with me personally, that they cannot switch their phone off at night, so they go to sleep, and then for whatever psychological reason, they just make a decision. I can't switch my phone off. What if? And what if nothing never happens? What if nothing ever happens, and all you're doing is you're thinking what if all the time, and that affects your sleep, because then you subconsciously you anticipating someone trying to reach out to you, so you never really go into a deep sleep cycle, because you automatically, it's like being in the wild, and you're in a game park where there's lions, jaguars, or lions, leopards, and who knows what else, and the whole time
you haven't got them in the right order. It's lions, tigers, and bears, isn't it?
Yes. Well, if you're going to be in a game park where there's lions, tigers, and bears, then you're in the big doo-doo. Yeah, then you're.
I thought you said the Wizard of Oz, but there you go.
Okay. Yeah, so it's the same thing. You're subconsciously you're not allowing yourself to sleep properly, because you're anticipating somebody trying to reach out to you to get hold of you for whatever reason that may never ever occur. So rather switch your phone off, put it on flight mode, and then just leave it alone. The world's not going to come to an end.
I think the challenge with that is that you don't normally get phone calls, so you go with the flow and don't expect them, and then they happen. And I've had 2 this week, and that's not going to happen again. I can assure you.
You just got to set the standard for yourself and set the stone, and just put the tone, I should say, and just put your phone in flight mode and
put my foot down.
I mean, even if it's not you and it's somebody else that doesn't necessarily get calls late at night, it's still it's the habit that they have by not putting their phone on flight mode, or not switching their phone off at night, or not putting their phone on silent. It's still a habit, even if they don't normally get calls. But you got to set that tone for yourself and just put it on flight mode. So there's no frequency, there's no frequencies flying around in the air while you're sleeping that are bothering you. You know what I mean? That's the other thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And because there's one other thing to consider also about bad sleep, and that is the current situation around the world. Now, I'm not going to mention it, but you know what I'm talking about. And if you're on a lockdown, you have your variety, or the variety of choice is affected because it's been seriously reduced. So that could be another thing that could have some kind of effect on people's sleep.
I must naturally, because also if you're sitting around at home all day, you become bored and irritable, and
even if you've got lots to do.
Yeah, and even if you have got lots to do, it's still very easy if you're not used to being at home. Okay, to become irritable, and just you get cabin fever, and then you're no longer tired you're no longer tired when you should be tired. So your circadian rhythms are switched around now, and now all of a sudden, while you're supposed to be sleeping, this is the other.
Well,
because between a rock and a hard place.
Absolutely. So, what is the cost of those sleepless nights? What is the cost, apart from what we've mentioned already, the bad moods and, maybe a lack of concentration or focus during the day because you're still tired?
Not even sleepless nights, but just nights where you're not getting enough sleep, period. So even if you do, like what's happening with me right now.
Yeah.
When I put my head down on the pillow, I go to sleep immediately, whether I get regularly 8 hours sleep a night or whether I'm getting 5 hours sleep a night. So I'm sleeping, but I'm not getting enough quality sleep. I'm not getting enough sleep. So
that's what I was going to say. Suggest, it's about quality, because they say that you should have between 6 and 9 hours. Now, it all depends who you are. If you're someone who sleeps really well and has quality sleep, you can actually get away with 6.5 to 7.5 hours. But if you're someone who doesn't sleep very well, or you're going for a little bit of a period, then it can be up to 9 or 10 hours, really.
Yeah.
And because the quality is not as good, so you need more. And
my wife is like this. My wife needs those extended hours of sleep because her sleep is never typically very deep sleep. If like now when I'm doing this course now and Andrea wants to go to sleep, she needs total darkness.
Yeah.
So she needs to close the bedroom door, even if I've got my earphones on and there's no noise. She needs to have total darkness to fall asleep. And then on top of that, she's never in a very deep sleep. So the moment I come into the bedroom, she becomes restless. Whereas with me, you could literally drop a bomb next to me and I'll just still be sleeping, and you can leave the lights on. If I put my head down on the pillow, give me a cup within a minute, I can be fast asleep, no problem. So it's the quality, and it's just some people, like you say, depending on who you are, I can get away with 6.5 to 7 hours sleep.
Yeah, that's what I do
on a regular basis.
I have really good sleep like that.
Because I sleep very deeply. But right now, I'm getting between 5.5 and 6 hours sleep, and that's not good for me.
No.
I should be typically having around 7.5 hours sleep. Yeah, that's what I should be.
I went through a couple of months, 2-3 month period where I was having power naps, which made up that little bit, and because I do think you can make them up without a shadow of doubt.
I had a power nap just now.
Yeah, I haven't had one since I've been here, since the 2nd of October.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
I'm buzzing. I'm absolutely buzzing during the day, but I can go, snap of the fingers, and I can go to sleep at night. So that's good. That's how I want it to be. Power naps if I need them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But not everybody has that luxury, though. This is the thing. Not everybody has the luxury to be able to have a power nap. And then they come home from work, if they're still going to work. They come home from work. They're busy with either the husband, the wife, the kids, all of the above, cooking, eating. then they put the kids to sleep, and then so many parents these days, and it's really not a good thing for either the child or the parent, but they end up falling asleep with the child. Okay, and it's really not good. It's parents think it's nice, but it's not.
No, I should do that when I did shift work.
Okay. Okay. But then you end up waking up in the middle of the night, 1 o'clock in the morning, and you end up crawling back into bed, or maybe having a shower and then crawling into bed, and then that disturbs everything. That messes everything up, and then you got to get up in the morning, get ready for work. So you're not getting a good, solid, rest, and you need to have certain cycles in your sleeps in order to get enough sufficient rest. And one of the things that you mentioned, that you asked the question in the beginning of this part of the chat, was one of the reasons why it is so important, and what are the bad factors with regards to not getting enough sleep, other than anxiety and stress and mood swings and things like this, is that your body's not recharging, and your body's like a car battery, or your brain is like a car battery. It needs rest time to recharge. And the body's the same. The body's like a car. It needs to be able to rest. If you just keep running your body or your car all the time, it's eventually going to break down. And this is why, when you're not getting enough sleep, your body's not having enough time to regenerate and to refresh, and for the cells in your body to replenish themselves.
That's right. Yeah.
So, and then on top of that, people typically will eat late as well these days. Very often people eat late. So the digestive system is working. That's still working while you're sleeping, and your body's not truly restful. So it ends up being a snowball effect, where everything starts compounding upon it, and then all of a sudden, a month later, you're like, you start getting the twitches, and that's only because you're not getting enough sleep.
Yeah. So David, yesterday I started intermittent fasting, but it all went out the window this morning because I had to have an early breakfast. So I'll have to start again tomorrow. So
why did you have to have an early breakfast?
Because I was hungry, and I knew it was going to be out in the cold all day. So and I wouldn't be eating. Otherwise, I wouldn't be having my breakfast till 2 or 3 in the afternoon, which for me is no good.
That would have been perfect.
No, I know it would be on if you're doing it perfectly, but I wanted it at mid-12 midday, and I'm going to train myself, to move it along a little bit. So
speaking of which, from your knowledge, now that you've just started the intermittent fasting, and
I felt great the first day.
Okay, now hang on. How many hours are you aware of that you should be fasting for? How many hours is it?
I was doing 8 and then 16.
So you were fasting for 16 hours?
No, fasting for 8 hours between the 2 meals I'm having. And then the last meal I'd have at 8 o'clock at night. And I was going to do 16 hours to the next one.
So you're having 3 meals in the day within 8 hours? Two within 8 hours, within an 8 hour block?
I'm doing the first one at 8. The first one at midday, second one and the last one at 8 o'clock at night. Okay.
Yeah.
And then having 16 hours to.
Wow, that's a very intensive intermittent fasting, because you're only getting 2 meals
but I loved
into your body.
I did it on the first day and I absolutely loved it. And I thought this really fits in well with what I'm doing. I'm going to experiment more, but that was, But
when you start to fast for 18 hours, like when you get to 18 hours, that's when the body really benefits from the fasting.
Yeah, but I've got to build up to it.
No, fine, fair enough. But I haven't finished yet. So, but however, what you do need to do is in that block that you are eating, you need to eat more sufficiently, and more efficient. So two meals in that 8 hour block is not enough. It's really not enough to fuel your body for the fasting, because you still need to fuel your system for the fasting. So it's not that you want to have an empty stomach. So 2 meals in 8 hours is going to end up, you're going to end up having an empty stomach for longer than you need to have. So if you break your eating down into, say, every 3 hours you're eating, okay, or even every 2 hours you're eating, but you're not eating big meals. You're just eating smaller meals.
I'll tell you what we do. We'll do this intermittent fasting. We'll actually do a program on it in the next couple of weeks.
Sure. Let's do that.
And I've still got lots to learn with it as well. I accept that. So
I've done 2 types of intermittent fasting, 2 different types.
Okay.
Yeah, and the second time both, and I'm talking about both times. I'm looking. First time was 6 months. Second time was a year.
Yeah. The reason I looked at it, just because I know we're talking about sleep. The reason I looked at it was because of some sleep habits or getting up during the night, and that they specifically mention this is one way that you can cure that.
Now, this is what I was going to say. Intermittent fasting is a great way for sleep. It's a great,
and that's the reason. That's the reason there's a link. So and we will link it to sleep as well when we do it. So anyway, back to the factory. Back to what we're talking about. Back to the sleep factory. Now, okay. So how can it all go wrong? What can happen if we continue to have poor sleep?
Well, you can have a range of health-related issues because inflammation will build up in your body. Chronic inflammation, for example, the silent killer. Mark actually mentioned it last night. Mark Jesenowski. He asked me what company are you with, and I told him, and he asked what products do you do. So I told him what products we do, and he said, "Oh, the silent killer."
Yeah.
I said, yeah. So yeah, and it is, and this is chronic inflammation is one of the big ones because that leads to everything else. That's something that I never realized until I experienced it myself. Was another one, which is adrenal fatigue.
Yeah. Another one we'll have to cover as well. So it's interesting that they all link up. But I know when we do these shows, it can sound that life is very complicated, but you can actually get it right with all of these things, or as right as you can.
Oh, you can, of course you can.
Yeah, and I think that's the only way you're going to do it is by experimenting.
And this is precisely what I've done with my life in the last I don't know how many years is experiment, and I've found what works best for me, and this is what I wish more people would do is experiment with themselves, and don't just follow blindly what one person says and believe that this is the truth and this is the only truth. Listen to what we're saying, try it out for yourself, or do some research and background information on it, and then look at it for yourself and objectively look at it. And then it doesn't become complicated because it's not, all you're doing is you're trying something out, you see if it works for you or not, and then you're moving on to the next thing if it doesn't work for you.
Yeah, that's
and eventually you will find what works for you. Same with training. Training is not one size fits all based on your age or your sex or whatever. Things work differently for different people. So but you've got to figure out what does work for you, and it doesn't need to be complicated. It really doesn't, because if it's complicated, it's not going to be sustainable. It's not. You're not going to work with it on a longer period of time. You want to keep it simple, and by all these things that Paul and I talk about, about health-related issues and health-related factors and so forth, it's about making life simpler. That's the thing. Many people think we're living a simple lifestyle or simple life habits, but in actual fact, all you're doing is, for what you're living, what you believe you're living simplified now, is building up to a much complicated life as you get older. And it's going to become so much more complicated that you're not going to be able to afford it at the end of the day. That's how complicated it's going to get. So rather do the experimenting now and figure out what works best for you and your body, and then life becomes so much more simplified thereafter. It really does.
I think the key thing that we should all be aiming for is longevity, but that's longevity with good health as well. So that you don't spend those 20 years or 30 years or whatever the time period is you've got left in pain, in agony, with inflation,
Yeah.
inflammation, and no inflation as well. But
inflation. Well, inflation too, because people will be living off their benefits, right?
Yeah.
People will be living off their benefits, and inflation and benefits do not increase with inflation. Inflation increases with inflation.
Absolutely.
So, and if your life becomes complicated as you get older, and you're living off your benefits, where's that going to go to?
Yeah, that's right.
How long is that going to last? So,
everything can be a vicious circle if you allow it, and that's we look. The things we want to avoid are things like obesity, heart disease, diabetes 2, high blood pressure, and things like that. That's the degenerative diseases. I mean, that's what we want to avoid.
type 2 diabetes is a big factor with lack of sleep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because you start to get cravings, sweet cravings, sugar cravings, savory salt cravings, and then it ends up being another added vicious cycle. So now all of a sudden you've got a binary vicious cycle. You've got 2 vicious cycles going on at the same time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I think we all agree that it's vital that we get sleep. And So
at least you and I agree. I don't know about the
well, viewers, I'm sure if anyone's listening to this at the moment, because we don't know, because a lot of our views have come after the actual live show. Please, put the comment in the box. Put a 1 in the box if you've had problems sleeping, and maybe put a 2 in the box if you sorted it out. So if you haven't, let us know. Let us know as well. And it could be something that you've had a problem with for years. So if we can point you in the right direction, we'll be happy to do that. So
advice doesn't need to receiving advice doesn't need to cost you money either.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people don't say what's troubling them or what their problems are, because I think it's going to lead down to a road where they're going to end up having to pay somebody some money for their advice. It doesn't need to be that way. If you reach out to Paul and I, this is what we hear. This is why we're doing these shows. We're not charging anybody to listen to these shows. You're just here to listen if you want to listen. And if you want some tips or some advice from us and you ask us for it, Paul and I are going to be more than happy to help out.
Absolutely.
This is why we do what we do. So don't think it's going to cost money.
Yeah.
No, it may do if you don't ask for advice.
Yeah. I think, look, what do we hope at the end of the day? We hope that you pick up on some of this and really take heed, take some suggestions, do something with it, improve your sleep, improve your health. We've spoken about how many hours you need, but the bottom line is, if you wake up tired, something's wrong.
Oh yes.
There's nothing badly wrong, but there is something wrong. There's something you're missing, or something you're not doing. And as I say, if all else fails, when you first have the challenge or problem or this obstacle, then have power naps. Try them. 30-minute power naps with an alarm, so you don't overdo it, because then you won't be able to sleep at night. But 30 minutes max.
Yeah, you can even get away with max. You can. So say you can even get away with a 20-minute. You can even
I've done 20 minutes, quarter of an hour, even
just a 10-minute power nap. Put your head on the table, and just 10 minutes later you wake up and you okay, that feels good. I did this before when I used to drive a lot. Sorry. Sometimes if I used to drive between like Dubai or Abu Dhabi, okay, and I used to get very tired on that road sometimes, and if I was driving between the 2 cities in the UAE, and I would just pull over to the side of the road, typically underneath a bridge or something like that, just put the hazard lights on, close my eyes, and I'd wake up 10 minutes later, boom, I'm done, I'm good, and I drive, I carry on driving. And it's you can do it. And again, power naps, sometimes some people need 10, sometimes people need 30. It's not a one size fits all, but try it out, give it a go at least. Don't just brush it aside and say whatever, because this is the other thing I wanted to touch on with tonight's call, Paul, is people don't. This is from experience and working with and talking to a lot of people. People don't understand what the signals are that are coming from their body, because they're not listening or feeling them. That the signals are there all the time. The signals are always coming through. Okay, the body is always giving us feedback. At every single moment of the day, it's giving us feedback. But most people are so unhealthy, or they're so consumed by life, that they don't listen or feel those signals coming from the body. So this is the other thing: is start to become conscious of being in tune with your system, being in tune with your body, and what is your body saying to you. Because then, when you say people wake up in the morning and you feel tired, you haven't had enough sleep. Okay, you could be
quality sleep.
Quality sleep. You could be sleeping 9 hours, wake up feeling tired, and because you haven't.
Well, I speak to quite a few people that have that,
and so many people will just get up and carry on without even thinking a moment about it. They won't even. They will just like wake up in the morning, think, "Oh, I'm still tired, but I got to get to work," and then they just get up and they don't think about it, and they don't think that, hey man, there's something wrong with this. This is not right. So they forget about it, and then the next morning it's like Groundhog Day. Next morning, same thing. They wake up and then without thinking about it, the next day again, they wake up feeling, and then the weekend comes, and what do? All they do is sleep. So they're wasting the whole weekend on sleep. So often, very often, this is what happens with people. They just they slumber through the weekend, and they're not actually enjoying their time off because they don't have the energy to do it. So it's, again, start to listen to your system, start listening to your body, listen to what your body's telling you, and actually pay attention to it.
Yeah, for me, I've never really suffered from fatigue. I've always had a really good dynamo, and I can go for forever. The only time I really noticed it was when I was driving. Sometimes you'd start falling asleep when you're driving. Now that was, I think, when I was doing shift work. I haven't had that since I've been doing shift work. But you got to pay attention to that. That's a sign when you when your head hits the windscreen, albeit softly, or the side window, or So you really got to be careful when you're driving.
If your head hits the windscreen, it's too late.
No, I didn't mean in a crash. I didn't mean that. I mean, you just.
No, but how's your head going to hit the windscreen? You're going to reach out that far.
You haven't seen the shape of my car, right?
Okay.
But
that happened to me in an accident before. I fell asleep at the wheel, and I was about to drive into a concrete wall on a bridge.
Yeah,
and
that's not good. You can't win that one.
No, I didn't win that one. But thankfully, I'm still here.
Yeah. So, brain fog. What do you know about brain fog?
We've been having a lot of fog outside here lately. Yeah. Again, brain fog again it's your brain not having enough time to regenerate, recover. Yeah.
Have you been in the same room as someone else has said that I've just got to shut down? I've just got to shut down and have a nap for 5-10 minutes. Have you ever been? Yes. I don't think I've ever been like that. But some people get overloaded, overwhelmed, and I think that some people just have to release it and go to sleep for 10 minutes or whatever it is. And we're all different, so no two people are alike. So I think it's very important that you, as you said, pay attention, become aware of how you feel and what helps you.
Because you're not, if you reach that point, you're not being productive to anything and anybody. You can't.
That's another thing. Productivity.
Yeah.
So I've always had high productivity. When I say that, I'm talking about when people have fatigue and they feel tired and lethargic and everything else. I mean, I've never really had that. So, when I'm actually applying myself, then I can go for long periods of time. A bit like the old Energizer bunny on the batteries, So, but
I'm like that physically. I'm like that when if I'm doing something physical.
Yeah.
You understand? I can just keep going, and I'll just keep going and going and going and going and going and going and going. Like when I was helping a friend of mine here last year in his company, and I was helping them prepare for a big event in Sweden. So it was a lot of physical work, and it was the first time I'd ever done this particular work. But I just kept going. I found my rhythm, and I just did. I went and I went and I went. And the other guys, they were having coffee breaks all the time, smoke breaks all the time. Me, I was just going. But it's when I'm sitting, that's when I become tired. When I sit.
Well, yes, just a few things about sleep, or lack of it, as the case may be. Some interesting facts that sleep boosts mental well-being, as we know. We've spoken about that. But it also prevents diabetes. It's one of the big things.
Type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, it can boost your immunity, help you lose weight. So, there's lots to be thankful for a good night's sleep, What about sex drive? Another one, libido.
I was actually just thinking the exact same thing. It can increase your libido,
both in men and women, and also fertility.
Yes,
that's another thing you have to think about when you think about that. And
that's what Andrea's a fertility coach, and
there you go then. Yeah. So I mean, it goes on forever. There's loads of things. I mean, you could come out in spots. You could
your skin can get darkened as well. As a result, it can go dark, get darkened. Because that's also to do with your adrenal gland, and it's because that's all kind of plays into each other, and your cortisol levels are impacted because of it. And so
well, too much cortisol actually I think it spikes the sugar the wrong way.
Yes. Well, then you become this is where type 2
there is a name for it. I can't think of it is though.
So you become intolerant to insulin. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, that's what I was looking with the intermittent fasting. They were talking about insulin and sleep. And it's all interlinked.
Before I did my first intermittent fasting, first time I did it, if I didn't eat every 3 hours, I used to get the Jimmy Jakes, the steaks, and I had to eat. And like Andrea would say, she would ask me, like, have you eaten in the last 3 hours yet or not? Because I'd get irritated. Sometimes I'd get aggressive if I hadn't eaten, and that's your insulin levels, and that's your cortisol levels, and that's all up and down now. Now everything's like this, and then
mine used to do that, but I've improved it so much that I don't feel like that anymore. So
good, you're lucky. That's good, because this is what intermittent fasting did for me.
Yeah.
Once I tried intermittent fasting, that disappeared, because that's hypoglycemia.
Yeah.
That's hypoglycemia. You get hyperglycemia and you get hypo. And hypoglycemia is like when you eat and you get really like hypoglycemia is like when you eat and you get really like jittery when you don't eat.
Yeah, because there's a lack of something.
Yeah, so you get really jittery. Yeah, and it's almost like I become like an Energizer bunny.
But in the wrong way.
In the wrong way, yeah.
When I was talking about it, I was talking about it in the right way. Like you can keep. I mean, but whether it's something to do with work. I mean, we had days sometimes that we worked 22 out of 24.
Oh wow!
And I tell you what, you start to flag. You start to flag after about 20. Trust me. But you can get second wind. And now it's not good to do that all the time, obviously. But you can get away if you're pretty healthy. You can get away with doing one day like that.
Oh, yeah,
come back firing on all cylinders next day quite early. So if you got done an early morning raid, we go about 4 in the morning, and we go right the way through to 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning to 2 in the morning.
Wow.
And be back in at 8 o'clock to start the new day. And he did it. You don't do more than one of those in a month. But occasionally it happened. You just had to get on with it.
And you do actually just have to get on it, especially like when you're in the police force and things like that, because you don't really have much choice but other than just to get on with it. And
it probably affects the army more,
because we did it. We did it in the military. Yeah, we went for nearly 3 days without sleep.
Yeah.
And by that stage, when you start to reach that time, when you get to like nearly 3 days with no sleep, you become hallucinogenic. You start to hallucinate and you start to see things.
Yeah.
And your speech becomes affected by it and stuff like that. So when I was working in the hospitality industry, I went through some days where I worked nonstop for up to a whole day, 24 hours nonstop work. Yeah. And there were times where I would go through a whole week where I'd be working almost every day for minimum 12, 14, 16 hours. Yeah, and that's a whole week of that. And then the rest of the time, you got to live life like normal life the rest of the time. So you're not getting as much sleep. But you can't function properly like that. You just can't. You're not effective enough.
Yeah. But, right, I'm just going to quickly whiz through 7 factors, 7 factors or signs or signals that you're lacking sleep. And I've got a list of them here because I needed to write them down. So the first one I've got in there is losing creativity. If you're a creative type of person, and you don't have to be creative, your creativity really, really going to suffer if you don't sleep. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yes. And as you say, even if you're not a creative person, it's still important that doesn't happen to you because your brain stops looking out for creative ways of solving problems.
Ideas and things like that.
Ideas, so,
losing focus, we've already mentioned. Attention deficit. You'll have your own attention deficit disorder. So losing sharpness, in other words, losing the ability to deal with problems is another big one. I thank Dr. Eric Berg for these. I got them off of him. So I don't know if you've seen his videos, but very good. Again, learning is part of that as well. You wouldn't want to concentrate on learning if you were really, really lacking sleep over a long period of time. Afternoon tiredness. Now, this doesn't happen to me very often. I just like having power naps. So increased appetite, that could be a problem. Again, this is due to sugar spikes and things like that. I call it the munchies.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's the munchies.
Yeah. So there's something not quite right if you've got to, keep eating and things like that, especially the ones with empty calories, like crisps and things like that. Anxiety and depression. It could be that the depression is not really depression. It could be just exhaustion. You're not going to know. You'll feel exactly the same. It'd just be probably over a shorter period of time. But anything else you want to say at all, young man?
No, we've covered it. I think we've covered it all.
So if you need any help, give us a shout. I think it's the easiest way we can do it. And also, please show us some love, love, or whatever, and comment on this video. We'd love you to do that. And let's see if we can improve everyone's sleep. That'd be great. Come back and let us know.
we can all sleep through this current this current crisis we're going through. We just sleep through it.
I'd like to sleep right the way through it if I could. I don't like lockdowns. I don't like having prohibitions put on me. But it looks like we've only got to wait till the 2nd of December. So
other people are freaking out. In Jordan, I found today they're having a 2-week lockdown from next week Wednesday, and some of my mates are freaking out because they live in Jordan. We've just had things of certain like restaurants and things like that have closed down here now. So it's nothing like lockdown like you guys are experiencing. But still, it's impacting people's lives.
Well, some places are draconian, aren't they?
Yeah, like in Dubai, you have to, even if you're outside, you have to wear a mask. I don't get that.
No comment.
Yeah.
We might do one on masks. You never know. I'm trying to stay away from COVID and things like that. So
we stay away from this.
We don't want to be stopped from actually reporting.
No, it's not that. It's not something that deserves too much of our energy, to be honest.
Yeah,
we've got more.
We're too healthy. See.
Yeah.
It's got to be something in what we do because we're both very healthy. So,
if people want us to talk about how to deal with the scenario mentally, then I'm happy to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but you need to let us know if that's what you'd like. Okay.
Great.
Sharing is caring, folks. Have a beautiful weekend.
Yeah, and have a fantastic weekend. See you later, guys.
Looking forward to seeing those comments.
See you later. Bye.